It is important to know which tools are necessary in order to correctly apply decals to parts which will require a clear coat. The tools we have displayed are quite straightforward. You will need scissors to cut the decals and the transfer paper from the backing paper. You will need paper towels and rubbing alcohol to prep the tank or the area for the decals to be applied. You will also need an improved sign display vinyl application tool and about a quart of water with 4 drops of dish liquid soap. You will also need some form of a heat gun or blow dryer as a heat source, as well as a sharp razor for any trimming that may be necessary. This portion of the video will cover how to open your package and check your decals and make sure that there's no wrinkles in the decals themselves, and how to prep your tank for decal application. First thing you need to do when you get your decals is take a look at them, make sure there's no wrinkles, that everything is flat. If there are any wrinkles, please contact us. We will replace them free of charge. The next thing you need to do is, once you've inspected everything and make sure you have the right decals, is cut the decals out using just a simple pair of scissors. If you feel comfortable enough, you can use a razor blade. The option is yours. What you want to do is you want to leave yourself about, I would say, a quarter of an inch gap in between the edge of the decal and the backing paper. You can see how I'm just doing a rough cut here until you can come back and trim them out. There is a curve here that can be seen in this decal. It's not necessary to follow this curve, as the transfer tape will flex enough when you go to apply that you won't have to worry too much about that. Again, just continue to cut the decals out. About a quarter inch from the edge of the decal. It doesn't have to be anything pretty. Something like that will be just fine. One more to do. Okay, once the decals are cut out, you can start by grabbing the tank that you're going to be applying the decals to. In this case, as you can see, if you're a Yamaha fan, we are using a GT80 1976 gas tank. The gas tank has been completely glass blasted, body worked, primed, based, and there is a clear coat on this tank right now. We only suggest applying decals over a clear coat that has been wet sanded. That's the way we do it. It seems to work well for us. If you make a mistake and you need to take the decals off the gas tank, there will be a residue that is left behind the decals. If you try to remove this residue with just a base coat on it using rubbing alcohol, the base coat may come off. When you put it clear on your tank and you wet sand it like this, it creates a permanent layer that will not be affected by the rubbing alcohol. In this situation, the next step is to familiarize yourself with the decals and how they will go on the tank. In this case, it's obvious that these decals will go like this, with this portion going something like this, as so. Once you familiarize yourself with how the decals are going to be applied onto the tank, it's time to prep the tank and get the dust and grime, grease and dirt off of the tank. To do this, we will use just a 70% isopropyl alcohol that you can get from any drugstore or your local Walmart. Just apply a liberal amount of the alcohol to the paper towels. Be sure not to get them on your decals, move them out of the way. Use the paper towel and just wipe the tank down. Again, this will not work unless you have a clear coat on the tank, as the rubbing alcohol may eat away at your base coat. At this point, our gas tank is prepped, our decals are cut out and ready to be applied. Okay, at this point you've prepped your tank, you've cut your decals out, and you are now ready to apply your decals. We have decided to use a 1976 GT80 tank, which is very similar in decals to maybe a DT400, DT250, and that when you get up into this area of the tank, you start to get into an area that is a compound curve, which means you have a curve going this way and this way at the same time. This seems to become a hang-up for a lot of people that aren't used to applying decals on gas tanks. We will go through the steps on how to apply the decal and how to settle this area on the compound curve that seems to be a troublesome area for many.